there, so I'm out here testing Dominator WX. I'm in the northeast quadrant of the low that's over central Alberta at the moment. As you can see, there's a bit of rain, so we're trying to make sure that everything's waterproof. At the moment you can see the relative humidity is kind of quite high, so they're 90.32%. LCL is low, liquid condensation level is low, and as you can see the clouds are low too. So 666 feet. And we got the temperature. Temperature's 5.2, 2.7, 0.67. And on the left hand side we've got the pressure. Pressure's actually in pascals 100 times more sensitive than your typical millibars or hectopascals. So you can see that changes quite dramatically because we've just changed altitude we're climbing at the moment, so you can see the pressure going up. And also note the temperature as well. So the temperature is very high resolution and very stable. At the bottom we've got the battery level, which is 4.5, the speed over ground, which is 109. That's the speed the vehicle's doing. It's data from the GPS. The course over ground, as you can see, that's 359 degrees, 0 degrees. That's a heading with respect to true north. So as you can see, they build pretty straight roads up here in Canada. There, so I'm out here testing Dominator WX. I'm in the northeast quadrant of the low that's over central Alberta at the moment. As you can see, there's a bit of rain, so we're trying to make sure that everything's waterproof. At the moment you can see the relative humidity is kind of quite high, so they're 90.32%. LCL is low, liquid condensation level is low, and as you can see the clouds are low too. Good morning, everybody. This is a live severe weather briefing as we have another 2 days of high plains insanity ahead before we have a big anticyclone, a summertime anticyclone that is going to build in across the region. And these are my original target areas here that I've verified so far quite nicely. The Monday target maybe should have been a little bit further east out there near the Jamestown area. This was made on Sunday too, over last weekend. And then Tuesday seemed to set up quite well for that severe weather. The warm front did hold just to the south of the Saskatchewan border there in northeastern Montana. Probably could have expanded that just a little bit east. We did have a 3-inch diameter hailstone just to the north of Wybo with that supercell that we intercepted yesterday in far western North Dakota. But here you can see the threat today. That's the green area, and this was made last weekend. So I should adjust this target area a bit further north to include up into Alberta, southeastern Alberta, southwestern Saskatchewan, and down toward the Great Falls area. And then tomorrow looks like the big day across eastern Montana, into the western Dakotas, all the way down through the Black Hills region. And there is also some indication that northeastern Colorado into southwestern Nebraska could also be interesting tomorrow with that pipe of moisture streaming from southeast to northwest across that area. Another pipe of moisture streaming in toward the surface low. Looks like a 992 surface low is going to evolve across eastern Montana. And just in the northeastern quadrant of that surface low is where I expect the strongest co-location of that wind shear and instability. And I do think that tomorrow is going to be a pretty big day out there. Here are those target areas again. The Storm Prediction Center already has an enhanced risk out across that area tomorrow. Slight risk and a 2% tornado probability today. I do think, though, that tornado threat could focus across southeastern Alberta, far southwestern Saskatchewan as well. But we're going to break that down, look at all the data and the new models that are coming in right now. But this is a video from Mark. This was testing the Dominator weather station out yesterday. There you can see the beautiful display on there, the LCD display. We also added LCLs on there so you can actually monitor the calculated cloud base height in real time. That's based on the measurements of dew point and temperature by this weather station. And Mark even dunked it into a bucket full of water just to prove that this thing can handle a lot of issues. And an ultrasonic anemometer is going to be included with much more thorough calibrations than many of the other high-end anemometers that are out there. Many of those high-end anemometers that are so expensive are only calibrated at about 67 miles an hour, but we want these capable of measuring accurate data much higher than that, especially as we get closer to hurricane season coming up. We also want to make sure that it behaves very well in moisture. But if you're interested in a Dominator weather station, you can sign up for email updates at dominatorwx.net, and we'll keep you updated on the progress of these weather stations and their availability as we start to roll them out here toward the end of tornado season and heading in toward hurricane season. But here you can see the 360 camera that Mark used to film the Dominator weather station in action. There you can see it anchored using a magnet on the back. This doesn't have the ultrasonic anemometer on there yet, but this weather station with all its bells and whistles will have a sonic anemometer. Obviously the thermodynamics are going to be measured as well, temperature, relative humidity, dew point, and look at that thing anchor onto the roof like that. Going to have to figure out something with Dominator 4 with all the hail dents on the roof, but those little discrete magnets should be perfect at finding a surface to adhere to using that magnet. And there you can see all that data Mark recorded in the northwestern quadrant of a surface low a couple days ago in Alberta, and he was dialing in the lightning sensor when that tornado happened to the southeast of Calgary. Pure dedication to science here. These are going to be research grade weather stations, not only for vehicles, but you can mount it on your roof of your home as well. And these are going to be streaming live additionally. So excited to roll those out as we move forward. And today I'm going to be deploying the subsonic sensor once again. Tomorrow, though, looks like the big day. And we've got Captain Vanover coming in, again, the drone racer, flying into Billings this evening. And then we're going to position for Thursday's target area across eastern Montana into the western Dakotas to try to get that shot of the Dominator FPV drone heading right at the tornado and then rocketing up the corner flow region of that vortex. That's the ultimate goal in the days ahead. But first, let's break down the forecast models coming up here. This is on the pivotalweather.com website. You can see this massive trough here dominating the western U.S. About a week ago, many of the long-range models were showing this trough to be a bit further east. This Rossby wave would take over the western U.S., but it looks like it is just a little bit further west, and that's why we're going to be monitoring far northwestern Montana there into far southeastern Alberta, southwestern Saskatchewan as well. That's at 18Z today. Moving a bit forward, you can start to see this jet streak here coming in through southwestern Montana, and right on the nose of that jet streak, that should be enough to fire those storms in combination with the easterlies getting forced up that terrain. There you can see that lead jet streak here across western Montana. And then you can also see the 0 to 3 kilometer EHI pipe there going right in toward the Great Falls area. And then you have this boundary of these east-northeasterly surface winds as well, with a subtle surface low right in that inflection point. But you can definitely see this moisture streaming up toward the Billings area and then eventually up toward Great Falls. And another pipe of moisture too across southwestern Saskatchewan into far southeastern Alberta. Really that intersection there could have a supercell or a tornado threat. You know how things go up in Canada. 73 over 58 type of a profile there. Southwestern Saskatchewan. Quite favorable photographs there as well. Look at that for a northeasterly mover there in southeastern Saskatchewan. Looks like the cap breaks easily. A lot of 0 to 3 kilometer cape as well in southwestern Saskatchewan. So there you can see a lot of instability, a lot of wind shear in the lowest 3 kilometers. A lot of directional shear, speed shear, and then in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, those winds gusting over 50 to 70 knots between 500 and 300 millibars, more than sufficient to generate bulk shear for supercell storms. And that's up in this pipe in southwestern Saskatchewan into far southeastern Alberta there. Can also look a little bit further south near the Great Falls area. Those are also favorable photographs, but you do get these northeasterly surface winds at the low levels, and usually that leads to a big structure day out there across northwestern Montana. But the NAM does have more reasonable surface temperatures there with a lot of 0 to 3 kilometer Cape, 76 over 55 happening. Quite a bit of low-level shear as well with that hodograph a little bit further south. But usually where you get these northeasterly surface winds there, a little bit behind that boundary, you're talking more about structure out there, maybe a brief tornado or two as well. Down near Billings, a little bit greater in terms of temperature dew point spreads, 25 to 30 degrees, but you also have a decent shear profile down there, decent hodographs as well down into the Billings area, so it'll be interesting to see if storms are able to fire off of that higher terrain as well. Plenty of Cape additionally there, and those easterlies in the lowest kilometer or two flipping around to westerly by the mid-levels of the atmosphere look quite interesting as well. And then on Thursday, things really blow up. That surface low moves into northeastern Montana here. You can see this pipe of moisture streaming in through northwestern North Dakota into northeastern Montana. And it looks like an arc of supercells is going to develop from northeastern Montana all the way down that North Dakota-Montana line. You can also see this pipe of deep moisture coming into northeastern Colorado. Wind shear isn't quite as favorable down there for tornadoes, and with those deeper moisture values streaming into the high plains of eastern Colorado, probably going to see an MCS or a complex of storms forming down there, northeastern Colorado, eastern Colorado, into northwestern Kansas and southwestern Nebraska. But all the moisture tries to wrap around that surface low up into northeastern Montana, 991 low. And look at these southeasterlies just ripping on the east side of this low. 991 there near Glendive, Montana by 0Z. That's going to cause definitely the potential of tornadic supercells forming in an arc just on the northeastern quadrant of that surface low and then building down the North Dakota, Montana line all the way down into northwestern South Dakota as well. Probably going to get some funneling of those southeasterlies on the north side of the Black Hills. So certainly is the possibility there of tornadic supercells all the way down to the north side of the Black Hills. And you can see the 850 jet up there ripping 35 to 40 knots out of the southeast into that surface low zone here across northeastern Montana into western North Dakota. Looking at the dew point streaming northward. There is going to be some mixing, it appears, up here, but then right along that warm front up to the surface low should get some pooling of upper 60s dew points to near 70 up there, right along that boundary into far northeastern Montana. Decent hodographs there as well. Dew point spreads are just a little bit high, but you do get that near 70 dew point, temperature 90 degrees. So these are probably going to be some higher base storms. That's definitely a limiting factor that could come into play today. Here is that moisture return today, this afternoon and evening. That pipe of upper 50s dew points into southeastern Alberta, southwestern Saskatchewan should be enough to generate a tornado threat up there. Let's see what the 3-kilometer NAM has for these dew points. It has that pipe of dew points a little bit further south, heading in toward the Great Falls area. And in fact, definitely some better moisture down near Billings, but that's driven largely by the Cape. And also the 3-kilometer NAM has this area destabilizing to the north of the international border, southeastern Alberta into southwestern Saskatchewan. Some decent EHIs as well, just a little bit further south toward the Great Falls area. I'm about 5 hours from Great Falls right now. 79 over 57, 22 degree dew point spreads. Easterlies in the lowest 2 kilometers there, as you can see in that hodograph. So I do think there's going to be a large hail and a tornado threat out there, and the 3-kilometer NAM has more east-southeasterly, due easterly winds on the Montana side, where really this boundary here shows you where those east-northeasterly winds line up, and that enhances that low-level storm relative helicity a bit. But really right near that inflection point where you have the merger of these east-northeasterly winds back behind it, east-southeasterly winds up ahead of it, that's going to be the decent area there just to the south of the Alberta-Saskatchewan border, very close, if not just to the east of Great Falls. So I do think that there is a decent chance of some beautiful structure out there, maybe an isolated tornado. Decent hodographs here with these easterlies in the lowest levels. A little bit of a capping inversion there at about 2 kilometers. That could limit severe weather, but until later on in the afternoon, eventually these easterly winds getting forced up the terrain and the arrival of that jet streak out of southwestern Montana should be enough to trigger severe storms up there and ample cape all the way up. See what the 3-kilometer NAM shows for tomorrow. And look at this pipe here of 0 to 3-kilometer EHI streaming in to those supercell storms in the vicinity of the surface low up here near northeastern Montana. Look at that. This pipe of 0 to 3-kilometer EHI, 0 to 3-kilometer shear, instability, moisture, cape, all streaming into northeastern Montana here. It is possible that this target area could also head across the border into southeastern Montana as well. Let's see if we can look at a forecast photograph here real quick. Beautiful photographs there. Little capping inversion that should easily be overcome. Big southerly low-level jet above 1 kilometer. Below a kilometer, you have these east-southeasterly winds. Big jet out of the west-southwest, 50 to 60 knots here in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. Quite a favorable photograph with these slow-moving northerly movers, north-northeasterly movers for the right mover. Out here is going to squeeze out even more storm relative helicity. But I like how in the lowest 2 kilometers, all of these winds are located in the northwestern quadrant there of that photograph. And this is the 3-kilometer NAM here. Quite a dry punch coming in just above the ground as well. That's going to cause mixing to the south of that warm front. Yeah, basically east central Montana all the way down toward the Black Hills. But there could be some funneling of that moisture to the north side of the Black Hills as well, which could lead to an enhanced supercell and tornado threat across far southeastern Montana, Broadus, out toward northwestern South Dakota. But really, the deeper moisture is getting streamed toward that surface low. You got to work the northeastern quadrant of the surface low with these setups. The 3-kilometer NAM shows near 70 dew points streaming up to that northeastern quadrant. So this is Glendive, just to the north of Glendive, up towards Sydney. Looks like a perfect target area for this into northwestern North Dakota there. Dry line marching east through southeastern Montana to the south of that surface low, clearing out Wyoming as well with that dry line marching to the South Dakota, Nebraska Panhandle border by peak heating. And there's that surface low, 990 surface low with big southeasterly winds just to the east of it, a big low-level jet as well. So I do think that this is going to be a big day. And watch how this low-level jet increases between 21 and 0Z as those storms march to the east near the North Dakota, Montana border by 0Z. Clustered supercells. This is the 3-kilometer NAM. So it looks like a line of supercells is going to develop all the way down into northwestern South Dakota here near the Montana, North Dakota line. But initially these develop by about 21Z as an arc of supercells just to the east and up to the northeastern quadrant of that surface low. And those march toward the border 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Those supercells are going to go into this western North Dakota target. And really the one that moves into that pipe of 0 to 3-kilometer EHI, that's going to be the storm that you want to target. And once that one's done, then you can always drop down the line through the Teddy Roosevelt National Park there, the Little Missouri National Grassland, dodge in and out of bison and everything too while you're working this line of storms. And there it becomes a MCS as you get about 8 or 9 p.m. And then those storms do build all the way down to the Black Hills region as well. Just for the hell of it, let's pull up the HRRR. I hate doing this, but it also has an arc of supercells across southeastern Saskatchewan. Probably a bunch of tornadoes up there, building all the way down into the northeastern corner. So the 3-kilometer NAM seems to be a little bit further south with that pipe of 0 to 3-kilometer shear than the HRRR is showing. So you can see that ripping in here into northwestern North Dakota, into southeastern Saskatchewan there. If the HRRR is right, then this is likely going to be a Saskatchewan event, and we're going to be sitting up here near the intersection of North Dakota, Montana, and Saskatchewan watching those storms off to the north. But if the 3-kilometer NAM is right, it's a bit further south of that pipe of moisture there at 12Z. So it looks like it stays dry according to the 3-kilometer NAM across southeastern Saskatchewan whereas the HRRR much further north with that surface low. So let's see where the surface... Actually, it does have the surface low a bit further south as well. So I think this is going to be a more compact surface low than this elongated pressure field that the HRRR is showing. And I think this is going to wrap that moisture plume into northwestern North Dakota, into northeastern Montana to the north of it. Looking at the 3-kilometer NAM, has a tighter surface low, stronger surface low with this belt of easterlies off to the north of it. So there you can see the 990 surface low, east-south easterlies ahead of it. And those do go all the way up into southeastern Saskatchewan. But that belt of moisture, northwestern North Dakota into northeastern Montana, looks a lot more favorable in the 3-kilometer NAM. Well, I do think that this looks good for northern plains. A lot of times the models can be a little weird up here in the northern plains. They don't seem to be as good as they are just a little bit further south. Here's the GFS, which is even further south of that surface low. But it really is probably going to be right in this region with that pipe of moisture off to the north of it. This is a global model, so not as good at resolving the terrain features. But it is a little bit further south of that surface low, but to me it looks like that surface low should be analyzed a bit further north. This model's just having a bit of trouble with the terrain. But it has that further north pipe of moisture as well up into southern Saskatchewan. So the latest GFS also is coming in just a bit further north. The wrap's not quite out far enough yet. And boy, that 3-kilometer NAM, western North Dakota into northeastern Montana sure does look favorable. And here's that pipe of 60s dew points up near Havre down toward Great Falls. The 3-kilometer NAM fires a storm just west of here, doesn't it? So these supercell storms here, right in central Montana, that's right near the inflection point of those east-northeasterly winds and the east-southeasterly winds. That would be out near Lewistown. It's about a 4-hour drive west of here to get to Lewistown, maybe a little north of Lewistown as well. Could be interesting up there. Havre to Lewistown. HRRR also has a hint of some storms out there, but also that cluster further west near Great Falls. It's possible that these storms could materialize with the arrival of that jet streak, and I bet that the HRRR, look at that. HRRR really mixes out dew points, and this is another reason why that's such a trash model up there. Just look at those dew points. And even has dew points in the 40s back behind that line. Does have some 60s up toward Havre, 50s near Havre. But that model is just simply, if it is right, it's going to be right for the wrong reasons, because it's totally wrong on the dew points out here. A little bit more accurate depiction of these dew points with that 60 to upper 50s up here, streaming into north central Montana, with those storms developing near the inflection point of those east-northeasterly winds back behind it and the east-southeasterly winds just out ahead of it. .850 winds out of the east at 20. You go up to 700, and you got about 25 knots, even 30 knots up here across the far southeastern corner of Alberta, southwestern corner of Saskatchewan there. But it's just a day too early for big severe weather out here. So the key today is whether I want to drive 18 hours all the way up to north central Montana for some structure, and then all the way down to Billings, where Captain Vanover's flying into, and then back up to Glendive for tomorrow with a tuckered out Gizmo as well. So I figured we'd do some wind sprints along the Yellowstone today just to mentally prepare for the big chase tomorrow. And then when I head down toward Billings, maybe I can get some convection coming off the terrain down there. Montana is very complicated topography, so it's different than eastern Wyoming or eastern Colorado, where it's a lot more predictable, or even southern Alberta with the slope of the terrain. You get some very complex terrain across the state, and that's why you don't get as many tornadoes up here, with the Rockies bending back way to the west and kind of these little smaller mountains off to the east and little plateaus out here, and just some very complicated terrain that can lead to complications in the severe weather out there. The forecasting of it, the tornado probabilities. The higher indices are down near Billings off the mountains down there, but it's going to likely remain capped down near Billings despite these big photographs. No cap though, so. But all the models are kind of initiating this area near Lewistown. Kind of a straight line photograph there initially. Just kind of a marginal day today. Yesterday, I did get on that hailer to the north of Beach. I went up towards Sydney, went east, and then dropped south through the Little Missouri National Grassland. And I could show you that as well. But for those just joining us, I want to give you the Dominator weather video here. Once again, this is from Mark.
It's a WX.
I can get my other video ready to go.
The northeast quadrant of the low that's over central Alberta at the moment. As you can see, there's a bit of rain, so we're trying to make sure that everything's waterproof. At the moment, you can see the relative humidity is kind of quite high, so that 19.32%. LCL is low, liquid condensation level is low. And as you can see, the clouds are low too. So 666 feet. And we got the temperature 5.2, dew point 7.67. And on the left hand side we've got the pressure. Pressure is actually in pascals 100 times more sensitive than your typical millibars or hectopascals. So see that changes quite dramatically because we just changed altitude and climbing at the moment.
Gizmo's getting in some good sleep right now.
I also know the temperature as well. So the temperature is very high resolution and very stable. And at the bottom we've got the battery level, which is 4.5, the speed over ground, which is 109. That's the speed the vehicle's doing. It's data from the GPS. The course over ground, as you can see, that's 359 degrees, 0 degrees. That's a heading with respect to true north. So as you can see, they build pretty straight roads up here in Canada.
So here is the enhanced risk that the Storm Prediction Center has out tomorrow, and that includes your standard 5% tornado probability reserved for the Northern Plains and your standard 30% hatch area for Gorilla Hail, Northern Plains. This would probably be a 15 hatch for tornadoes if this were in the Southern Plains, but since it's up here in the Northern Plains, it deserves a 5%. And it looks like that stretches from Glasgow all the way down to Rapid City. Includes the Teddy Roosevelt National Park here, the Little Missouri National Grassland, out toward Glendive, back up to the Glasgow area. This is the area to the north that's going to be northeast of the surface low. Glasgow, Sydney, Plentywood areas. And then those supercells should build down the line. But Gorilla Hail, big time wind, and some tornado threat until it congeals into a complex of storms. Looking at the day one, 2% tornado probability. Hail, lower end, not as much instability out there. But there'll probably be some guerrilla hailers, especially to the east and northeast of Great Falls and to southeastern Alberta, southwestern Saskatchewan there. That we'll have to keep an eye out for. Here it comes. So thank you everybody for joining me today for this live briefing. I wanted to show you the video that I shot yesterday, but I've already posted it to Facebook. So thank you everybody for joining me. And if you want information on the Dominator weather stations and when they're going to be available, you can sign up for email updates at dominatorwx.net. And we look forward to rolling out these research grade weather stations, more affordable than the ones that are already out there, the bigger companies and everything that, and a better calibrated, state of the art, you know. And Mark is building them with his own bare hands. And now I'm going to leave you with this live stream of the event yesterday. I was able to pull it up here. Hold on. Not a great chase, but that's kind of how the high plains goes. It's pretty hit or miss up here sometimes. But you always will get beautiful structure. And things that you don't expect as well. That's why we call it high plains insanity. Again, that's why we call it high plains insanity, because you see things that you just don't expect. But look at that hail streak there. Those were baseballs that were falling north of Beach there. I only saw golf ball. I was trying to get in the baseballs, but golf balls are the biggest that I saw out there. Big time hail coming. Probably gonna get gorillas in here. There's a little circulation as well happening.
southwestern